what's up guys? Shinobi here with another Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls video for you. Real quick, I want to talk about, I know I didn't put any videos out for the last week. That's the first time that's ever happened in 2 years. I was pretty sick and I needed some time to recuperate, and now I'm back at it and I got tons of videos coming out for you, so check almost every day for lots of videos. So today we're talking about the Witch Doctor. I do want to go over every single class and things that I've noticed and things that I like, and I found this spec here just from messing around with the abilities, and this is the 10 doggy spec. Now this spec is pretty fun to play and gets only better with certain legendaries that you find. For instance, there's a legendary that you find that's the Tasker and Theo legendary, which increases your pet's attack speed like crazy. So, I mean, right now, it's pretty ridiculous on Expert and Master difficulty. If I were to, you know, have this set of gloves and then maybe some other items, there's some other items out there as well, too, that increase, like, pet damage and all these kinds of things. Putting all that stuff together, I could see this being a very viable build in the future. So I'm going to talk about exactly what goes into the spec in just a second, but you can see just how, you know, I can just literally throw Pestilence on stuff, let it bounce around, and the doggies and the Gargantuan just run around and kill things for me. That I can do that on Expert, I can do that on Master, and my gear is pretty much rare gear. So imagine just how much better this would be when it scales up, especially with getting those specific spec legendaries that was just going to make this 10 times better. So let's go ahead and get into the actual thing now, and let's get into it. Alright, so we're in town now. I only have 9 doggies left. Every once in a while, 1 or 2 will die. One of the biggest weaknesses of the doggy thing is like arcane beams and poison enchanted, because that's some AoE stuff that could take them down pretty quickly, and it could be a little bit until you get your doggies back. So be a little careful on which, you know, difficulties you're on, and kind of just scale it up. Like start at normal, see how you do, then go to, you know, just kind of scale it up depending on how your gear is. But I'm currently in about 558k damage. I'd say you don't want to really go past master difficulty with this because it's not going to be efficient to do Torment. I can do it, it's just not as efficient, and it's not as fun either. I mean, doggies pretty much solo everything. So let's go ahead and get into the spec. You can see that I'm using no legendaries here, and if I did have those gloves, that would be pretty amazing. Just so much better. But yeah, you can just see kind of some of the basic stats here. If you played Diablo 3 before, you're probably watching this because you played Diablo 3 before, so you understand how stats and everything work in the game. So just, you know, just very basic stats on most of the gear. I do need some upgrades. I mean, I have gotten some pretty good items that I need to upgrade, and but I need to re-roll that stuff. So let's get into the spec itself here. So how is it that we can achieve this? Because normally you can only have like what, up to 5 dogs at one time or something like that. Well, there's some ways around it. So let's go ahead and take a look at everything. So we have Locust Swarm. Before we used to use the Pestilence, which you can see right here. It is good. I believe it got nerfed on damage a little bit. I have to double check that. Chance to jump to additional 2 targets instead of 1. So it does spread a lot more than the one that I'm using. But I'm using this one here because it still spreads. You know, it still spreads out and goes to everybody. Just not as quickly as Pestilence. But Devouring Swarm gives me 25 mana back for every enemy infected. So when I'm doing like farming and I'm killing, like when I go into Fields of Misery and do the Spartan run like you guys have seen before, I would throw Pestilence on everything, or, you know, Pestilence before. But now I throw on Devouring Swarm and I just get my mana goes back to full just instantly. And I can just spam that as much as I want and just run around and spam it as much as I want. I don't have to worry about anything. So that is nice to have. I may switch it in the future depending on... I may go back to this in the future if I get a lot of legendaries that give me a lot of mana regen and stuff like that. So we'll have to see. But for now, that's what I'm using. Fire Bats, Cloud of Bats. Just because I haven't messed around with any of the other, you know, burst damage things so far, and it's still good. It's still really good. But you know, doesn't feel quite as good as it did before, but then again, we had much better gear before on mobs that were not near as difficult or as high of health. So, yeah. So, okay, when you scale it that way. I'm using Spirit Walk with Honored Guest here, just for the mana back. I mean, it's very important if you want to be efficient. You got to have your mana up. Like I said, with the legendary thing in the future, if I find more legendaries, I'll probably get, you know, a lot of mana regen stuff. Using the Gargantuan here, using the Restless Giant, which is the one that triggers every 120 seconds. It'll turn into like a crazy killing machine. As long as you kill packs of 5 monsters or more, or you have an elite pack or something like that, then it'll go into this like crazy damage thing. You saw the Gargantuan hitting for over 1 million damage in some of those clips there. When that pops, it's pretty crazy. There was a bug before that you could resummon the Gargantuan, and it would it would activate right away for you, so you didn't have to wait quite as long. But with some cooldown reduction stuff, I can see this being a lot better in the future. But for now, it's not the main focus of the build. It's just an added bonus. So then we have right here, Big Bad Voodoo Boogeyman. Now this is one of the main factors behind this, because enemies who die in the ritual area have a 50% chance to resurrect a zombie dog. So when you use your zombie dog, it summons 5 of them for you. If you were to use it again, when you already have 5 zombie dogs, it's not going to summon 5 more. What it's going to do is going to replace those 5 you had and give you 5 again. So what this does is it helps you get more than what you had before. Now there may be better ways of doing this, but this is what I'm doing for right now. I'll probably look into some of those ways. So which rabid dog I'm using is I'm using the rabid dogs that have just increased damage, just the highest DPS one that I can get, just for just doing more damage and killing things quicker. But there are some really fun things you can do with 10 dogs. You can do the lifelink absorb thing, which is nice. I mean, you absorb quite a bit of damage with 10 dogs. You also have the leeching beast, so if you have life on hit, I mean, imagine 10 of them, you know, it's just crazy. And then you also have the health globe one, you have the burning dog one. So yeah, I mean, there's kind of, you know, interesting things you could do. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. So let's take a look at the passives and such. Using Blood Ritual just for mana. I'm also using Grave Injustice for mana and health regen and such, and I'm killing a lot of mobs at one time. Something I could change out, but we'll see. Now I'm using one of the new passives, which is Midnight Feast. Now this one right here, you can have an additional 1 zombie dog summoned at one time. The damage of your zombie dogs and gargantuans is increased by 50%. Okay, so that's pretty huge for this spec. Then you have Zombie Handler. You can have an additional 1 zombie dog summoned at one time. The health of your zombie dog and gargantuans are increased by 20%. So it's a big increase there, but you think zombie dogs have 5 dogs, and Zombie Handler gives you an additional 1, and Midnight Feast gives you an additional 1. That's 7. Shouldn't the max be 7 and not 10? I don't know, maybe that's a bug right now, but for right now, I know that you can get 10. So, you know, pretty interesting stuff there. There are things you can do like Circle of Life, which when an enemy dies, 30% chance to automatically emerge again. So you could use this to keep your dogs up for longer, but you shouldn't really need this unless you're on like a harder difficulty or something. You should be fine. Some of the other ones here, that might be good. You could use Gruesome Feast. That's something that could be used as long as you're using these two. These are like the most important two. And then the rest of them, you can just kind of go ahead and do whatever you want. Let's see if there's any other things that you could possibly use. Let's see. Reduce the cooldowns. So you can reduce cooldowns, which is also really nice as well too. Your pets have 100% of the benefit of your thorns and life regen items. So something you could do as well too. Just going more with that pet thing. But right now I don't really have thorns or life regen or anything like that. But it's another way of keeping your pets alive. And imagine if you had a lot of thorns and like a thorn pet spec, and you threw it in with this, with all that other stuff, and the pets are already doing a lot of damage. So there's so many different things that you can do. So that's just one thing I want to keep in mind for you guys. This is one of the new passes for the Witch Doctor, which is Creeping Death. Your Haunt, Locust Swarm, and damage amplification from piranhas last almost forever, which is pretty cool. And then you have the you have right over here the physical attunement. You gain 70 physical resist for every enemy within 8 yards. So, I mean, it could be okay if you're surrounded by a lot of things. But, I mean, typically, if you're in a big group of monsters and, you know, there's just a whole bunch of around you and you're fire batting them down or something like that, you know, the whole idea is to kill them quickly and then move on. It's not like, oh, I can survive this so I can do damage for an extended amount of time. So, I mean, in some specs you might be able to use this, but I don't know. But anyways, that's just pretty much the spec right now. Like I said, added with the bonus legendaries and all these other things, there really are a lot of possibilities on what you can do with this spec, and I'm really excited to see you know, what happens in the future when I find more items. I'll keep you guys updated. If I get, you know, a bunch of cool legendaries that I can put in with the Witch Doctor and just make the spec like godlike, it's already really fun and pretty overpowered in my opinion. So this could be a new way of farming in the future with Witch Doctors, getting those bounties done quickly, and just playing with these. Anyways, my name's Shinobi, and until next time, thanks for watching.